welcome back to my channel, The Grimm Reader. Apologies for headphones. The main reason for that is a neighbor issue. Our neighbor likes to play this very boomy type music. I think he's a very car-centric person, a lot of car stuff, and this garage. He's doing something with his garage, and he likes to play like extreme boomy stuff as what I would describe it as, and it really, really is grating to my highly sensitive persona. And the only thing that makes me sort of stay relatively sane are my noise canceling headphones, and I'm going to keep them on because even while doing the video, I know that it would bother me, the sound. I have my little microphone. I don't know if I really need to hold it up. I don't think I will. This is all very sort of off the cuff, fly by night, because I'm still really, really busy, and I'm doing this at 8:30 on a Sunday night instead of folding laundry or reorganizing my medicines for the week. Something that needs to get done and will get done, but also I wanted to do this work-life balance, etc. It's time for a chatty reading update, and I won't be able to talk as in depth as I've finding out that I kind of like to do. Not that my videos will get very in depth, but I'm kind of leaning towards doing videos on one thing, like the Zola stuff or things like that. But anyway, I don't, it's fine. It'll just be what it is. It's fine. So let's dig into what the Grimm Reader has been reading. And there's one DNF, or at least put aside. There may be others, but I can't think of them. But okay, so let's get into it. My main audio for quite a while now, because it's such a chunker, is Clarissa by Samuel Richardson. This is a mind-blowing book. Basically, it's all taking place through letters, more or less. So sometimes it seems it's a little bit of a artificial, the letter writing pretense. Supposedly during the year of 1747, and according to my TikTok person who I haven't checked in with lately, the reason to read it this year is that the days align with the days of 2023. So, for example, if it's Wednesday, May 17th, is going to be Wednesday in this year too. And the group on TikTok, I don't know how many of them are left, are actually reading it coinciding with the days, which the reason why I'm not doing that, it seems, is that, for one, it's very engrossing as a listen. And originally I thought I'd have to listen ahead so I could stay on track, but now I'm just finding that I'm going to probably stay ahead. Not by that much, and it might slow down, but I'm already, well, not already, I still have. So I'm this far through, and I have this much to go. So it looks like, well, basically almost half through. And that's because I'm mainly listening to it. And so, like, for example, on Goodreads, I'm listing it both, because it's sort of like, this is the way I keep track of the pages, but then I'm also listing the 3 audio volumes that I've listened to, and I'm on the second volume. And it's an absolutely phenomenal read because it's psychologically extremely astute and surprisingly modern in its the misogyny and the patriarchal aspects of it are very modern. Also, just how she has to fight for her sanity and her autonomy. And one thing that's a little kind of, you have to get used to the second set of letters. So starting, I don't know exactly when, is he completely foregrounds the villain. He completely foregrounds Lovelace's opinions. And for a long time, and even that's sort of putting me on edge a little bit, because he's such an evil person. But now it's sort of changing again, and we're seeing how he's obviously met his match with her. And so even though I kind of already know the outcome, and it's not a happy one. I mean, I don't think it's a big spoiler. I don't know exactly what the circumstances of that sad outcome will be, but it's as if now we're seeing he's sort of pivoting back to, she's still not foregrounded where I'm at right now, but he's not getting exactly what he wants from her. And what he wants is, I mean, submission, control. Would have no qualms of raping her, to be honest, trigger warning. Her complete submission. He's a completely, and in a way, even that's become fascinating to me too. I mean, it's always been fascinating, even though it's also kind of unsettling to get into the psyche of a truly evil, psychopathic man who just kind of has this way of flitting through life um, with no, with hardly any insight into his own, or at least he doesn't care that he's a bad person. I mean, it's not even that. It's hard to explain how it's so great, and I just don't have the wherewithal to do that right now. But I'm really glad I started this. It's a phenomenal, because it's such a sort of, I mean, it's so interesting. This is so dense, so what's the word? Detailed or nuanced, like complex. The complexity of the inner machinations of these people is being laid out for us. It's almost as if it were very, very, very complex Jane Austen, for example. So, and it kind of brings back the whole idea that Jane Austen is not of the 19th century, so she's very much still kind of the 18th century, even though she's a transitional person going into the 19th century, but she's not a Victorian. She's definitely not. And you see that with someone like Richardson. And I'm also happy because it's sort of making me want to read more 18th century stuff. And there again, listening to it, this is the way to do these big chunkers, for me at least. I do it when I'm doing my chores. If I start folding laundry, I'll do it then, and it's a great way to just carry it with you through the day. So that's good. Now, so I also jumped in on the classics group read hosted by Anna Novella and Micah Cummings because I wanted them to help me get into Borges, because this is what they're reading. And I'm sure everyone who's doing this, or most of them, are probably much further along than I am. I am still I'm not struggling, but it's just, so as I'm discovering, Borges is not someone that you can just read, or I cannot just read. He's fascinating, he's complex. So the first ones, the sort of more adventure story ones, they were actually not that, they were still sort of giving you a lot of things to think about. But now I've gotten bogged down in his famous short story from the fictions, Fictiones. I guess it's The Garden of the Forking Paths is the name of the collection, I guess, or yeah. And then the first one is Tlön Ukbar Orbis Tertius. What a short story that is. Meinong's Jungle, anyone? Etc., etc. And the whole idea of a fictional planet, a fictional world, and encyclopedias, and mirrors, and encyclopedias. Yeah, it's got everything. It's mind-bogglingly interesting and funny and complex. And I guess the main thing to say about it, so as far as I can understand it, is what it is it's a sort of phony non-fictional text, and so therefore fictional, but a phony non-fictional text about made-up places. So it's sort of deliberately blurring the line between fact and fiction. Actually, it's not even, I don't even have much longer to go, and I'm still bogged down in it. It's only a few more pages, and some of them are what they say is a postscript. But it's all about how they came to find out about the subject, and how the subject itself was very hidden and didn't pop up everywhere. It reminds me of trying to find out about alchemy. But anyway, it's fascinating, and it's really well done, and I do love it, but I just don't have the brain space to deal with the fact that I want to look up everything. And you do have the sense with Borges that he strives to be a completely European. He's writing from a very European perspective, even though he's in Argentina, but I guess, so that's sort of something you have to kind of contend with him. The whole old world versus new world. How much of the new world is Argentina really? And anyway, but of course he is kind of going to bring that into his own writing. But he himself, I guess, spent quite a bit of time in Geneva and taught himself a bunch of languages and was super brainy and interested in philosophy and all kinds of other things. So yeah, but I am in general very happy that they pushed that the existence of this group on Discord have pushed me into getting started with Borges' Leaf. I have a feeling, at least, so I have a feeling this will go on and on. This will be a long-term thing. The other thing that I am reading or have just started slowly is the second volume. This is another kind of cheat on the Goodreads because Pilgrimage by Dorothy Richardson is basically three short novels in one, but it is oftentimes published as this group called Pilgrimage 1, and then there's Pilgrimage 2, which is another three, and I think there's 12 altogether, so maybe there's four pilgrimages. Well, I've just started on the second one, which is called Backwater, and I finished the first one where she had gone to Hanover, and this is basically auto-fiction. Hanover was her time, the one called Pointed Roofs was her time as a sort of teacher student in this finishing school in Hanover, and her interactions with the women and the young girls there. And I truly love her style, which is very, very, there is an obliqueness to it. Like when she's interacting with her siblings, it's sort of hard to, even the way they talk and interact, it's a bit sort of, it's stream of consciousness to the point where you don't really know, you can't, it's not always exactly clear who's saying what or how, anyway, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to unravel, but on the other hand, the sort of strong interior voice that comes through, and it's a very positive one. She's very sort of uplifted by her own internal machinations. There's a scene in the beginning of this one where she, for the first time, smokes a cigarette secretly, and she's sort of, you can tell she's still a teenager, I think, still very young, and she's sort of proud of herself for it not making her ill, and for her doing this sort of adulty thing, which is, of course, very dated because she's smoking a cigarette, but you really kind of are with her in that moment of feeling grown up about it and sort of proud of herself that she liked it. And, we see her groping her way towards adulthood in a poetic, interior way. I like it a lot. I've only just started Backwater, and I might try and do a bit more of an overview of Dorothy Richardson because she's one of these forgotten writers. And I came across her when I was, for some reason, researching the longest novels, and this group of connected autobiographical novels. So there's 12 of them. She kept writing. This was her, what she did is an example of a very long set of intertwined novels. And her style is different from someone like Margaret Young, who's sort of more mythic, more poetic, more lyrical. This is more prosy in a certain sense. It's like interior prose, and I'd have to go back and read my Wolf again because she's sometimes mentioned with Wolf, but I think because it's sort of focusing on her own life, it's a little different too. But yeah, it's good stuff, and I guess I'll have to check with you when Backwater came out or was first published. Her dates are 1873 to 1957. So Pointed Roofs is 1915. Oh, interesting, during the war. Backwater is 1916, and Honeycomb is 1917. And it's interesting how you don't get any sense of the war with this one. Now that is rather interesting, indicative of her very interior. Maybe if I read it again, I would see more hints of it. So she was in Germany in 1915 during the war, First World War. Interesting. That's a bit of an insight. Anyway, so Dorothy Richardson. And I'm putting this with my Viragos, even though technically it's not, but it's meant to kind of look like one, I think. Anyway, let me get to the DNF, or the one I'm putting aside. And the thing is, it's not bad. It's actually not bad. I think it really is more a case of me, not it. So this is one I picked up at the library sale, and I do kind of like the style, but there's something about mysteries. I feel like I'm watching a Netflix show of this, even though it's a book. And I already watched Netflix shows, and so I don't really need to be doing this for the little bit of time I find to read. So I'm putting it aside for now. It's sort of like it's the kind of thing you read on a plane, or when you're really just not that busy and you just want to pick something up. And I guess my time is a little bit too precious for me. And it's not that I would say that I would be wasting my time with this. It's really just kind of, I get irritated because I feel like I could be reading something else. So I'm putting this one aside, even though it's quite good. I know people love her, the Brunetti mysteries. I think it's more that I just have a hard time with mysteries in general. Even that kind of formulaic stuff is just not where I'm at. It's not my jam. Let's talk about what my jam is. So instead, what does Kathy Grimm pick up? another thing from the sale, which is the novel by Niall Scott, the called Morning Star, and I really don't know. I have a feeling it's dystopian or something. Something bad's gonna happen, but it's sort of like I'm reading it and I hear the voice of the person who narrated the books. So his voice, Eduardo, what's his name, and the setting is sort of, it could be another Knausgard sort of autofiction of them being in this cabin in Sweden somewhere, but creepy things have started to happen or strange things are happening, and he's sort of irritated with his creative significant other or wife, and he's taking care of the kids and he's annoyed, and it's all, the writing is so strong it just pulls you in, and it's also the kind of book where I don't mind if I just read a couple of pages. I want to read this instead of that, instead of the not the mystery. This one will hold me and will calm me down, and it's all good, so to speak. So as you can see, despite the fact that I'm going to be busy for the next 2 weeks, and even beyond that, I'll have the third week is less busy in terms of actual teaching, and I am sort of wondering about. I have at least one. I have stationery ideas. Stationery is just my other main hobby, and now I have the camera that shows you the over. I can show it film down onto the desk. Also, summer plans in general are happening. Until recently, I was seriously considering taking an online class to teach me ancient Greek for 14 weeks. But because of having to buy tickets for our trip at the end of the year, I decided to postpone my ancient Greek learning. I really want to learn ancient Greek. I know, super nerdy, but it will help me with so many other things that I want to read. Anyway, so one summer project, and I don't know, we'll see. I kind of want to do it, is to read Metamorphoses, which I've never read. I really should read this, considering I teach fairy tales and they come up a lot. The transformations come up a lot. Plus, I think I could get into it. The thing that would have to happen is it would be a project. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, there's a sort of trend on the sort of younger people on the book talks, not book talk, but Instagram, and also TikTok too. They annotate their books in a very aesthetic way, like very neatly, and they make little notations and they write notes, and it's become a thing to annotate your books. And I kind of like that too. Like, I don't see myself doing it in exactly the same way, but the idea of sort of taking your time and writing things down appeals to me too. It appeals to me, but I don't really do much of it. I mean, I underline things and sometimes take notes, but usually only if I'm getting ready to say something on for the booktubes. So yeah, that's where I'm at. 18 minutes. The kitties are all fine. We did have Mr. T go in for his teeth surgery on the 6th of April, and he had 8 teeth removed, I think. And he was down in the dumps for a long time afterwards. And the problem was he wasn't eating, and he's already a pretty skinny fellow. So we were kind of sad and upset about that. But then we got some kind of miracle drug for a price, per usual. And we put some of that on his ear, and he perked up right away and started eating normally again and being more normal. So we have got him back. He's sort of lived another life, and he's fine now. And at some point, we'll take Lily back to get checked for her issues. And we're all busy. Well, my husband is retired, so he's less busy, but he's keeping busy. And yeah, that's all I have for you right now. I will get this put together. And have you read any of these books? Are you interested in any of these books? All for now. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you all for watching and subscribing. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.